Idaho's weekly unemployment numbers were released today, like they are every Thursday. It was appointment viewing for a while there during the height of the pandemic shutdown last year. It was like waiting for the doctor to come back in the room with your test results. How bad is it going to be? Well, we peaked in April of 2020 with nearly 72,000 continued claims of unemployment. Lately, it hasn't been that bad. A slow downward slide since the spring, actually. Just above 1,000 for initial unemployment claims last week and just about 3,000 continued claims for the week that ended October 30th. Less than half as many at this time last year, but pretty close to where Idaho was during the same week back in 2019. Idaho has less than 3% unemployment right now, third lowest in the country, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. But there was another labor statistic released by the Bureau about 2 weeks ago, where Idaho was on the other end of the spectrum. Quits rates and total separation rates. And if you are familiar with those terms, quit rates are pretty much what they sound like, people who leave their job voluntarily. Separation rates include those who quit or were laid off or their job just went away. Now, we're told this report released last month was the first time this data was broken down by state instead of just national numbers. The quits rate is interesting because as a country, 4.3 million Americans quit their jobs in August, the highest number in 21 years. Meanwhile, in Idaho, they were number 2 and number 1 when it comes to quits and separation rates for the month of August of the entire country, meaning we had more people leave their jobs in August per capita than pretty much anywhere else in the country. Here's how this looks. The number of Idahoans who quit their job went from 24,000 in July of 2021 to 32,000 in August, 8,000 more, a month-over-month increase of 1.1%, second only to Kentucky. The rate for the country, 0.2%. Overall separation numbers went from 33,000 in July to 43,000, or 33, I should say, to 43 in August. At 1.3%, it's the most significant month-to-month increase in the entire United States. And that might be a lot of boring numbers to digest. So we spoke with Idaho's Department of Labor about this, wanting to understand it better. It was all new data for them, too. And they pointed out a few other interesting points. Idaho's number of job openings, that blue line that you see right there on your screen, dropped by 8,000 between July and August. And our hires and separations, the green and red lines there, were virtually equal for the month of August, meaning we were told Idahoans aren't just quitting their jobs, they're changing their jobs. Now, granted, this data is months old, from August, but it does jibe with what the Idaho's Department of Labor has been noticing and with what lots of business owners have been talking about even before then and since.
Which is employers have a really high demand for workers right now, and they're really having a tough time filling those positions. And workers right now are kind of taking advantage of that by quitting jobs and maybe getting turning into a better paying position or a different employer. And we're seeing that on an increased basis.
We've seen that, yes. And on a national scale, we know a lot of those quits came from the service industry. 21% increase in restaurants, bars, and hotels, a 6% jump in retail during the month of August. Now, in Idaho, there wasn't much of a clear-cut industry breakdown, but all those help wanted and sorry for the slow service, we're short-staffed signs that we see out there, well, we can pretty much tell what industry was likely hit hardest in Idaho. The service industry, like we've seen throughout the pandemic. Months ago, when local businesses started struggling with staffing, there was this idea out there that it was because of the extra federal unemployment cash available, and people just didn't want to go back to work when they could get paid to not. We've already talked about how that wasn't quite the whole truth. And besides, in Idaho, that went away in June. So how do you explain the jump in people quitting in August? Right about the time that report came out, a Boise man put out a thread on Twitter. Yeti Abides has been working in the service industry since he was 10 years old, when his parents opened a restaurant. His last job was as a bartender at the East Side Tavern in Boise. He said back in April, there was a month-long stretch where he had just 3 days off. He told us that, along with some personal life changes, in the middle of a pandemic, by August, he'd had enough. He gave his notice right in the middle of when that data was compiled. Yet he said he realized, to borrow a phrase, there was another life out there. And that's why he quit the career he loved for more than 30 years.
The best thing that I liked about it was the people. Like, what I loved was that every interaction was different. And whether it was the people you worked with or the people that you were your customers, that's what I liked about it.
But you knew early, at the age of 10, it's not easy.
No, I mean, I saw it. Like, I saw what my parents did. I saw what it took. And sometimes when you find something that you love, it doesn't matter how hard it is, you know, whether that's a person or a career, you'll do it because it brings you something.
And so for like 3 decades it did.
Yeah.
And then it didn't.
And then it didn't. Yeah. And I had to think about why it didn't. And I realized I was honestly tired of adults throwing tantrums over pieces of cloth on their face. I was depressed to the point of seeing people that I saw every day that were stuck in their cycle of using, in that case, a substance to get through life, and realizing that I was in one way codependent on that relationship. It wasn't that everything was dark and gloomy and it was horrible. It was just that all of a sudden you realize there was other light out there and that I could make a choice to feel differently and be different. 30 years of serving people gladly, but without reciprocity in a lot of cases, and that can drain you. And yeah, that's where I found myself.
Are you shocked by it? The fact that Idaho is way up there when it comes to the month that you quit?
Yeah.
Idaho, a lot of other Idahoans went along with you.
Yeah, shocked in the sense that you didn't realize that other people felt the same way you do, but not surprised, because the reasons that I've talked about, the reasons that I will continue to talk about, are the same reasons everyone else has decided that, you know what, there's more, or I can do less of this. I could use less of this.
So about a month and a half after you decided, I'm done, you decided at 12:30 at night you were going to write a tweet thread, basically to people like in your position, your fellow service industry workers. What did you want them to know?
I wanted them to know exactly what I said in the second tweet, which is, it's better. We need the service industry. It's like, that's our world, that's our economy. If being in the service industry and serving drinks or waiting tables or cooking food or changing oil brings you life, like real life and happiness and fulfillment, then do that, and do it in that mindset. But if it doesn't, then go find that thing that does.
If I'm a business owner and I see this, I mean, why should I care what an adult bartender has to say about my business and how I run it?
To the business owner that thinks that this is against them, it's not. I think the hardest part about showing up every day for somebody else is that you're not showing up for yourself in a little bit of that factor. And we all do it, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going and working for someone. But I wanted people to know that if you find yourself in a place where you honestly don't know if you want to keep going, it's time to change. So what do I think? Why do I think everyone quit? It's because we really do care about ourselves. That shift happened, and it's going to continue to happen. And I'm just glad that, you know, there's an opportunity to tell people that shifts are good.
So, good decision on your part.
Yeah, best decision of my life so far.
While Yeti's Twitter thread didn't quite go viral, just 94 likes, Yeti said it has been viewed more than 10,000 times. His thread included a bit for business owners, as we kind of touched on there. Want to keep your employees, he said? Make sure you have their morale in mind. Like, are you paying them enough? Are you asking them to work too much? Are you giving them a chance at a fulfilling life? And I know it may all sound a bit touchy-feely, but he asks, aren't those all important aspects? I also asked Yeti if he would go back to the service industry someday. He said maybe if he was younger, he might. But at this point in his life, at 41 years old, he's looking forward to finally enjoying not working during the holidays and actually spending that time with family and friends, and also pursuing something that has more meaning for him.